When God said, be an instrument in performing these signs, bringing on these plagues, he said to Moses, but I want to tell you, Moses, they're not going to work because I will harden Pharaoh's heart. Doesn't that seem arbitrary? In Exodus 9, for example, and later on, Paul brings this up in Romans, in the New Testament. But looking at 9, but when Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunder had ceased, he sinned once more, and he hardened his heart. Verse 35, so the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he would not let the Israelites go, just as the Lord had spoken through Moses. Then 10 verse 1, then the Lord said to Moses, go to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his officials. 3 mentions of hardening. One says he hardened his own heart. The second reference says his heart was hardened. And the third one says God hardened it. Now, which one is right? Or is there any way in which all 3 could be right? If God says, go and preach the gospel to these people, but I'll harden their hearts so they can't respond, would this not undermine or at least test one's trust in a God like that? So how would you go about explaining that? When you bring evidence to a person, rather winsome, persuasive evidence, and the person rejects the evidence and says no, and then more evidence is brought and he says no, is he hardening his own mind and heart against truth? The illustration I've used as far back as I can remember is if you take, say, a quarter pound of butter or margarine, and you take a quarter pound of clay, and you put them both in the oven, and you turn up the warmth. In due course of time, the butter or the margarine will melt, but the clay gets harder and harder. The difference is not in what you did. You just turned up the warmth. The difference is in the reaction of the material inside. How about with us? As God comes closer and he brings warmth and truth and love, and you say no. Then he has to bring a little more next time, and you say no. And eventually, you're baked hard as nails. What did God do? The same thing he did to soften the heart of some people. And every time he comes with warmth and love and truth, and you say yes, and more, and you say yes again, and pretty soon you're melted by it. And God does the same thing to both. Do you see evidence of that running through the rest of Scripture? We should watch for this when we come to references to the hardening of heart.